Today, a topic of discussion is on digital products and online frauds, a journey from vulnerable to impenetrable. While we were selecting this topic of discussions, we had several other trending topics to be considered, like AI was there. Then we had Chat GPT, CBDC, inflation, embedded finance, and few more. We were told that a topic like online fraud is not that fashionable. Why don't you select a topic which is attracting a lot of media attention, or a topic which is chasing a lot of VCP money? However, we had a very different view on this. What we saw is that today, most of our activities are being done online. And what are we thinking while doing the online products or a digital platform? We are escaping unwanted messages. We are avoiding unwanted calls. We are worried about misuse of our online entity. Every time we log into a bank's website, we are worried whether it's a correct website or not. If we go to the ATM and try to withdraw the cash, we are worried whether our card will get cloned if there is some equipment which is being fitted there, which can just take away all the credentials. If we get a friend request, we are worried whether it is a honey trap. And when we get any delivery of any courier which is coming in and he asks for an OTP, we are worried whether it is a request money kind of OTP. And there are several other concerns which keep coming to us every day. So undoubtedly, the topic of discussion today, that a journey from vulnerable to impenetrable for digital products and online fraud, is a right topic. And we have today a very powerful panel. The people who have built industries, who have given several policy level guidelines to the entire BFSI industry, and their views would be very, very valuable to us. In fact, I would say that this topic should be discussed in each and every forum globally, to make the digital transactions safe. Now, today the questions that we are going to ask are the questions that were discussed in the FIAX community. So the next question is Suresh to you. Now, in reducing the frauds, customer service plays a very, very important role. Now, I can cite several reasons, on this. During pandemic, many senior citizens received a phone call saying that their ATM card is blocked. If you want to activate it, please come to the branch. And then the fraudster said that I will give you an OTP. I will send an OTP. You accept it, and your card will start functioning. And the poor senior citizens didn't know what to do, and they gave the OTP, and the money just moved away. Now, if that moment, if senior citizen had a customer service representative to talk to, without IVR, without chatbots, okay, it would have been very easy for the old man or an old lady to know whether she should give or he should give or not. Now my question is, do you see banks and fintechs consider customer service as an investment? Now, and do you see this plays an important role even in the hunting and farming role? Now, I will give you an example, from a very different industry. The way you gave a car industry example, I will give you a luggage industry example. When I took up my first international trip in 2006, there were various suitcases which were available for 1,500 to 2,000 rupees. But all my friends and all the travelers recommended that I should go for a particular brand of a suitcase. And with a lot of reluctance, I bought that. And they gave 8 years warranty. And on the 7th year, I had an emergency landing in the chart, and because one of the engines of the Ethiopian Airlines got conked off, and we made an emergency landing, and we went into the Rajagopalan airport, and there my suitcase was broken. When I came back to Bombay and I gave this particular suitcase to this manufacturer of a luggage industry, no questions asked. They just replaced the suitcase that was there. And after that, entire family of ours has the same brand product. Now, in a similar line, do you think, and this is because of customer service, do you see banks and fintechs uh, actually, feel that the service could be an important aspect in driving revenues?
Fantastic question, because um, I think in any industry, right, not just banking or any industry, customer service is very very important um, ingredient for the success of that industry, right? So you gave an example of that, your suitcase. I think I also faced a similar problem, and somebody just, I mean, one of the airlines. This time the airlines sent me, because that suitcase I bought it in overseas. They said no, I can't go and get it from overseas, but I give you the voucher for the same amount, which is the value of that suitcase at this point in time in overseas market, and then they send me a ticket. So that stays in my mind, like how it stayed in your mind in 2006. What it is, that's a mark of a good customer service. I think fundamentally there are two things we are talking about, right? One is a B2C kind of a environment where the amount of consumers who are going and touching that particular application or usage. And let's take an example of, if you are having 100 million and 200 million consumers using that particular app, or for example, or a service, and the type of services needed is like, you can see the super apps coming with so many features, and just imagine the kind of infrastructure needed to support for these kind of different category of service, right? In the super app, each icon is a service, and each icon is probably a head department with a set of people, and in each and every bank. So all of that, it just not, you may see only the sales guy who was front ending or selling, but the departments and the banks are investing heavily into making sure that whether you probably raise those complaint through a bot, or you through a call center, or through an agent, or you go to a branch, but it gets recorded in some places and it gets addressed. Maybe the varying degree of that service shows the difference between a good bank and a me too bank, right? So you will see that a long-term sustained value creation by large banks and for their consumers is only basis the good customer service. And you can, I mean, there are examples of banks where some of us worked. It was meant for customer service. We used to treat that so passionately and then provide service. And then we have seen that how that growth happens in those banks. And there are examples of a good banks here in the country, and there are examples of not so good experience for all of us. And so very important that it is to be treated as an investment, and majority of the good banks treat that as an investment. The second point is that I think today, even if they don't treat, by inherently, if you look at, for example, the cost of consumer or a customer acquisition, right? It's a very very significant cost for anybody in any industry. The onboarding of first customer, making sure that you send a consumer, you send your agent to verify, onboard, enable them to do the first transaction. It's a significant cost, and if there are mechanism to reduce that cost, right, it can happen only through a good trust. If it's a word of mouth, you do a good transaction, and then this experience of what you have mentioned is what spread. Now in this forum you are talking about some of the good brand which has done the good service. That is exactly, you will tell that probably in a privately within your own neighboring community about that incident, about that brand, about that uh, you know uh, incident, and why you want to buy that brand, which is exactly the reason the banks or any other financial institutions invest in customer service, right? It's no more a tool. Like it never, like I mentioned in the previous section as well, the 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 CEOs of the banks treat these customer service is not just one of the small pillar somewhere. They treat that very very differently. I think Mr. Samurthy also mentioned about the reports, annual reports getting reported with a number of customer incidents and things like that. So the board views all of this very seriously. So it is a significant investment, but that investment is going to fetch you a long-term return. And stickiness of the consumer with you, your brand. And just imagine a situation like you mentioned, a brand with a faceless entity, right? You are just like, nowhere, you don't know where to complain, and the only tool available for you is, in the app there is a button, and then you press and enter, and then wait for someone at the other end to report. I think it's the anxious moment, right? I don't know whether the report will come or not. I've lost my money. I'm waiting for somebody to report or not. I think if you are able to remove that friction, that's anxious moment gets reduced. I think then I think we have done a good service as an industry. So very important that we need to make sure that we deal with good brands, because at the end of the day, there will be many players who wants to take the easy path, onboard the consumer, and then make money. Like many fintechs you have seen, all they need is the VC funding, and then they don't bother about consumer service. But there are some good brands which are built on these sustained value creation, and then they've invested in customer convenience, customer service, and all of that, and then you are seeing the results. So very important for you talked about even hunting and farming, right? Today, that I will tell you on the be it on hunting or be it on farming, we all worked in in fintechs, and we have reached out to banks. If you have not provided a good service, if you be able to get into that bank again? Will they allow you to do something next time with you? I think it's very, very important as a fintech or as any industry, I think, to take care of an existing customer. It's like a bird in hand, worth two in bush. Make sure that at least what you have is served well, and it is treated well with care. I think that's very important from a customer service. I think uh, lot of now good fintechs are coming out with the customer care units separately, right? It just in Webmo and PayU, we have a customer care unit for all the merchants transactions, the problems. There is a customer care unit, they address it immediately, and then they go back and report what are the issues and things like that. So we have a lot of these um, you know best practices adopted for the long term sustenance of these industry. I think at the end of the day, like one more point which came up, unless you have the right data with you, it is difficult to service the consumer. If you don't have the data, if somebody doesn't come and report to you this problem, if they silently suffer, you will not know this problem. This is where, I don't know, maybe as an industry we have to come out with a model. If there is a transaction failure somewhere, how proactively we reach out to the consumer. Today, for example, if there is an e-commerce transaction failure, like I just keep telling everybody, almost like 11 to 12 companies get affected. One transaction failure, there are even 11 to 12 companies get affected. It could be seller marketplace. It could be a e-commerce company like Amazon. It could be a PayU. It could be Webmo, which is routing the transaction to the issuer, and the issuing processor, issuing bank, again on the way back. And then there is an SMS provider. We provide the SMS. Just imagine all of them lose revenue if that one transaction did not go through successfully. It is the industry-wide problem. One more point which you talked about on the topic of why CEOs don't talk about the fraud. If the fraud happens within an internal, it is easy to detect and then report. If the fraud in this kind of a connected commerce, we are all in a connected commerce. There is an issuer, there is an acquirer, there are 11 or 12 touch points, and you don't have all the 11 or 12 touch points are having the same mechanism or the security controls across. So nobody wants to take, say, hey, that my problem, it is my problem, and they will all wait who is going to blink first or identify the problem. The root cause analysis is so important to identify that problem, and that can happen only if you have a very, very ground level customer service agents, and they tell you exactly what is the problem, what is the issue. I mean, we can sit in one corner office and then think that we understand just by looking at the data. But unless understanding the last mile, understanding the entire transaction flow, understanding the last consumer who touches the consumer, you will know exactly what is needed. So significant investment go in building the valuable organization, or call it good to great organization. We need a good customer service. Without that, you can't expect a good organization to become a great organization.